Hey, it's Allie here, Allie Horner from AdventureKnox.com. If you're not super familiar with me, I am a kind of like spiritual life coach, for lack of a better way of saying it. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also an intuitionist, an intuition strategist, or an intuitive coach. My primary tool that I use is my intuition and my abilities. And so that comes in and works for a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and innovators and people who think differently and want to live better lives and be happier and more fulfilled and make the world a better place, and who are also going through awakenings. So one of the things I wanted to share with you while I'm here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado, shooting this, I live in Denver, but I'm up in Boulder, is that a lot of the time for me, people think about intuition as a special gift or a special skill. They think it's something that only women have or only some people have, and that you need to be born with it and have, mediumship or intuitive skills or psychic skills through a crystal ball or some special oracle cards or crystals or whatever, and that it's something that only some people have. That's not true at all. Everyone is intuitive. Everyone has the same gifts and the same skills. Everyone can tune in, tap in, turn it on, right? But the difference is that not all of us listen to that intuition. Not all of us are open to using it all of the times. And there aren't exactly classes in school. There's not exactly like an intuition 101 in school, right? So a lot of us aren't taught how to use it. And so it's really important, I find as I work with more and more people who are wanting to develop this as a skill, and I've actually run courses and programs on it and work with clients privately on it, there's a lot to be said for the everyday ethical use of your intuition. And there's a lot to be said for it because once you are working from intuition rather than the pains of your perception, you become open to something greater. There's like this universal life force, this great pulse that starts to lead you on your way, where you start to feel in flow and like you're always on time and ready for the next step. Like everything is working out for you. And it doesn't mean that you don't have fears. It doesn't mean, just because I'm more intuitive or I'm more open to my intuition and to listening to it and to hearing it, to consciously applying it in everyday moments and relationships, doesn't mean I know more than anyone else. Doesn't mean that I get things more than other people. It just means that I'm having kind of almost a heightened awareness that we all are capable of having, but only some people tune into. So what happens is you start to sense things before they're coming. And sometimes, it's very deliberate. Like you're sitting in a session with someone or having a conversation with someone and they ask you like, hey, can you pick up on this, this, and this? Can you tell me what's going on in my relationship? Is there any way I can make it better? Or, how can I make it more possible to have a certain outcome? First of all, intuition can be used in certain ways, but what I usually tap into is what's highest and best for yourself and for all, not necessarily what you think you want to happen. The other way that it comes in a lot is having this knowing of things that are coming that you could possibly never have any influence over. So for me, one of the first times my intuition kicked in, and this is actually a lot of what happens for me, where, it's not something where I can have an impact on it and influence it. So like, for example, when I first noticed my intuition opening up, it was around the time within the year before the Cubs went to the World Series. And when they were playing in the World Series, I was at my parents' house. I happened to be at my parents' house that week, and I was standing there and in my parents' living room, and I saw this image in my mind of someone from the Cubs hitting a grand slam home run. And I was like, wow, it was just like this flash in my mind of this little like movie scene playing out. And I was like, that would be really neat. And I completely forgot about it until it happened. Less than a day later, Addison Russell hit a grand slam home run for the Cubs in the World Series. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I saw that in my head happening yesterday. I don't know Addison Russell. I don't know anyone on the Cubs. I didn't tell anyone I had had that vision. There's no way I could have influenced that event, or at least outwardly, right? I do think our thoughts create. But that said, I think there's something to be said for the fact that we can tune into things that are coming that have nothing to do with us. For example, a lot of people were sensing and feeling fire and smoke, and seeing things like buildings coming down before 9/11 happened. People who had no idea of the larger picture of what was actually going to happen and when, but we're getting a sense that something was about to happen, right? And some people even picked up on New York City and couldn't put their finger on what else it was. So that's another example of where intuition can come in. It can come in to help you circumvent things. It can come in to help you see something that's coming and choose, you know, how you'd like to respond to it, because it's going to happen. It can help you in a lot of different ways build momentum also towards things that you want to create that are really intuitive and really beautiful. And another way that it's used every day is to just increase your flow with life. For me, I found a lot of things that I pick up on are things that are about to happen, or things that I'm stressed about that I would like to actually adapt to more and choose to have peace in, despite the fact that they're going to happen. And it helps me a lot to step out of the everyday, like, oh my God, the stressful thing's about to happen, oh no, and actually zoom out and see a bigger picture behind it, so that I can see, okay, but wait, so this thing's gonna happen, and I might, you know, not think I want it to happen, but it's actually leading towards something greater. So that's something that a lot of people feel anyways without their intuitions zooming in, right? But I have this ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture of what's coming outside of that or beyond that. Can I do it all the time? No. But for a lot of people, yes, if they're open to receiving it and that's what they want, I can see that there's a bigger picture that they need to actually zoom out and focus on. And that is one of the greatest gifts of using your intuition. It will tell you to take the high road, to zoom out and say, hey, let's get a bigger picture here. You actually can be happy in your life using your intuition. You can actually see this from a new perspective. Your intuition will always guide you with the voice of love. If you're feeling fear, that's not your intuition. Okay? Your fear is like that ego mind that's trying to prevent an outcome. Your intuition will tell you, here's what's highest and best for yourself and all, coming from the most loving and kind and positive perspective. So intuition is very much about, one, finding peace in the present, and that's quite often when we tap into intuition and turn it on, is when we are actually playing at peace, when we're meditating, when we're sitting and looking at the beautiful mountain views. Check this out. This is from my hike in Boulder. This is also why I'm not doing it live. I don't have great signal, which is a good thing. And a lot of times intuition is not about action. It's at least not in the receiving mode of it. It's about actually like tuning in to something greater when you're in those mundane moments. So this is something that I teach a lot, is how to tune into it, how to tap into it, how to interpret it. A lot of people actually get intuitive hits and they misinterpret them. Or they get messages, they have visions, they see signs, etc. There's lots of different ways to tune into intuition. They talk to someone about something, that person gives them a message that's really profound or gives them insight. But what happens is we often misinterpret what's happening, and so can the other person. So when I speak with people, I'm very intentional about, here's what I'm seeing and sensing and hearing and feeling, and here's what's coming as it's gonna happen. But I'm very careful not to create my own interpretations of that information most of the time, right? Because I don't want to have the information or the symbols, the images come through and be influenced by my lens of focus. And that's something a lot of psychics and mediums don't know, is that we can actually misinterpret what's coming through. So it's better to just say, here's exactly what I'm seeing, I don't know what it means, and to tell the other person, please don't try to figure out what it means, just let it be, and usually the answer comes in time. So that's my little snippet of Intuition 101 for today. I felt really compelled to share this stuff. I'm starting a Patreon channel. I think it's going to be a really great, area for people to get access to this type. I want as many people as possible to live more, not just intuitively so you can figure out the future and create more money or create the best life or whatever. This is really about helping people live in happiness and fulfillment. That is what your intuition will always create for you. Happiness, fulfillment, peacefulness. And it's also very much not just about you. Your intuition will always guide you to do what's highest and best for you and for all. It's very altruistic. It's very much about collective unity and consciousness and helping the world harmonize. Like, we're always in harmony, but it's about us evolving into more of a higher consciousness collective perspective, which we always are, connected to everything, everyone, which I'll talk about more soon. But intuition is very much about syncing things up in the universe and seeing how those things are synced up, and then also choosing peace in the process of them. So your intuition is always on. It's never broken. It's just a matter, you're not more or less intuitive than anyone else. No one has any special sauce that you don't have, or special skill. It's really just about tuning into it and growing your awareness in it, and then learning how to interpret it or not interpret it, but let it come in, asking for it and receiving it, and then eventually living, paying attention to that pulse of intuition inside of you. Because it's not always about messages or visions. Sometimes it's just a feeling that pulls you forward. Intuition is really a beautiful thing when you learn how to trust it and discern what's intuition and what's imagination. So I hope this is helpful. I just felt really compelled to do this today from where I am. And let me know if you have questions, or if you want to book a session and you want to learn a little bit more. I've got programs that have also been developed to help people heighten their intuition and learn how to use it well. I developed them because when I was going through my, kind of awakening, where my intuition was clocking in and coming in really quickly, I had a lot of stuff come up around what's right, what's wrong, is this true, is it not, am I going crazy, how do I interpret this, how do I create boundaries around this. Sometimes people don't want to have the future stuff happening. They want to be in the moment, and that's what intuition will help you do. It'll help you be in the moment more, actually. So I found a lot of really great lessons, and I started to share with other people how to trust it more, how to trust the flow of life more, how to allow those messages and that intuition or vision to come in without using it so much for the way that people want to usually, which is to create control and to create safety. It doesn't work that way. It works more in openness and flow without us trying to interpret it or control the events of life. That is something every day that I work on, is letting go of that control and just saying what's highest and best for myself and for all, instead of saying I want this outcome, how do I get there? It's very different from how we're taught in the Western world, right? So those are the resources that I'll be creating for you guys. More videos, podcasts with some of my friends who are very intuitive and have very different types of intuitive skill sets, and apply it very differently. We'll talk about how do I apply this in my everyday life? What do I use it for once I have it? It's really great. It can help you improve your relationships, can help you, with life direction. It can help you with everyday little stuff. I know a lot of people, myself included, who do very intuitive eating, who move about their lives very intuitively, and you probably are to an extent already. Like I said, like, everyone's intuitive, but you might just not realize it. And you might be wondering, like, why do certain things happen a certain way if my intuition's working? Well, that's something we'll talk about soon, okay? Well, I'm Allie. You can find me online, Allie Horner, or adventurenox.com/readings. If you would like to book a reading with me or a session, you can use a reading as an intuitive development session. I can help you with your intuition. If you think you're intuitive and you're wondering, the answer is probably yes, everyone is. But if you think you're tuning into it more and you're more interested in that, give me a hell yeah. Contact me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your experiences and your stories. I'd love to hear your questions and your comments. And I'd love to hear more about, how are you using your intuition? What do you want from intuitive development? What questions do you have about it? How can I help you? And of course, like I said, share your stories. I love, love, love hearing people share their stories. Again, you can find more about me, events, retreats, meetups, readings, courses, all that type of stuff at adventurenox.com. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.